Well, it's difficult, isn't it, to know exactly where some of these sort of abstracted images come from. Certainly in a number of them, there have been ideas I've started from which have a very clear basis in the sort of external world. They just become elaborated, abstracted, if you like, into the image that then develops. And it may not necessarily be recognizable as the object that it started from, but that's what initiated the process. But I think all visual art is a metaphor. It's standing for something that may be very easily recognizable in terms of a representational image that is then made. But even a representational image is itself a metaphor. You are generating a two-dimensional image to stand for a three-dimensional object. So abstraction is really just an extension of that. In part, I'm restricted because the kind of printmaking technique I'm using largely restricts you to a relatively small number of colours for each plate. You have to think about the sort of combinations that the summation of the plates will produce, because you're printing one plate on top of another. Diluting the colours down so that they're relatively transparent, so that each one shines through but is summated with the colours of the added plates. And sometimes I tend to use colours in the same sort of harmonic tonal range, but at other times more contrasted colours, largely through a process of experimentation. All these different components of the process have their own sort of momentum that just keeps the ball rolling. And I think the fact that the work that I've been doing is abstract is again in part a response to that sort of dynamic process I described in terms of how the image is developing and my ongoing response to that. You do have to anticipate and plan well in advance, because you've got to try and, as I say, anticipate how the image is going to develop. That's not to say it necessarily does develop in the way that you plan, and actually integrating some of the accidents, if you like, that crop up is one of the interesting and exciting aspects of it. So it becomes more abstracted as the process goes on. But I don't want to sound too sort of portentous about it. It's fun. Although it's a technology that's very ancient and, compared to modern printmaking techniques, incredibly inefficient, it nonetheless generates images that are unique.